In the quiet streets of their small town, the morning sun spilled golden light over the dusty roads, the chirping birds filled the air with soft melodies, and the river at the edge of the town reflected the first glimmers of their young dreams. The children ran through the alleys barefoot, laughing at the smallest things, their shadows stretching long in the early sun. Amid this simple, almost magical world, two young souls first noticed each other. Every glance held curiosity, every smile held a secret, and every small touch, sometimes accidental, sometimes deliberate, stirred feelings neither fully understood. Their laughter echoed in the streets like a melody that belonged only to them, as if the town itself had accepted their quiet little hearts. School became the stage for their innocent romance. In classrooms, they would sit quietly, pretending to focus on lessons while secretly exchanging glances. Small notes passed under tables contained words they could never speak aloud. "I smiled today because of you, your laugh made my morning." Each note was a world of its own, carrying hopes, secrets, and the first flicker of love. At recess, they would sneak into corners of the playground, play tiny games of hide and seek, and exchange shy smiles when no one was watching. Even the smallest gestures, a hand brushing a shoulder, a shared laugh, felt monumental, filled with emotions too vast for children to name. Outside the classroom, their love blossomed in the form of mischievous adventures. They wandered the town's alleys, hid behind walls, and ran barefoot through puddles after summer rain. They shared whispered stories, pressed secret promises into each other's ears, and sometimes, in the quiet of the afternoon sun, held hands for just a moment longer than they should. Every day brought a new note, a new secret meeting, a new stolen glance. Their hearts were writing a story that belonged only to them, weaving memories that neither time nor distance could erase. The arrival of university marked a new chapter, but did not diminish the intensity of their bond. New city, new people, endless possibilities, but memories of the old playground, the secret garden, and the shared notes clung to them like invisible threads. After classes, they would find small, hidden places to meet, exchanging words and smiles that the world could never understand. Despite familial restrictions, societal expectations, and whispered judgments, they found ways to communicate through eyes, gestures, and tiny acts of courage. Each stolen moment was a reminder of the love that had grown quietly but firmly over the years. Yet life rarely follows the dreams of the heart. Without warning, a letter arrived with the news that would change everything. The girl's family had arranged her marriage. The boy's heart shattered into fragments too numerous to count. He wandered the streets, lost, homeless in spirit if not in body, the city's familiar roads now seeming vast and empty. Every memory, every note, every hidden corner of laughter became both a treasure and a torment. He clung to these remnants of first love, unable to move forward yet unable to let go, his mind replaying each smile, each secret game, each tiny note as though they were lifelines in a world that suddenly felt cruel and indifferent. And so their first chapter of life, full of childhood innocence, secret notes, hidden glances, mischievous adventures, and university dreams, ended in heartbreak. The seeds of their love remained, buried deep within memory, ready to be unearthed someday in a city that had witnessed their every step, every stolen moment, and every unspoken promise. 20 years had passed since those innocent days in the small town, yet the memories remained etched deep within their hearts. The boy, now a man, had wandered through life without a home, without a family, carrying the weight of lost love like a shadow that never left him. His hair was streaked with gray, his eyes had grown weary, but in quiet moments, he could still feel the thrill of stolen glances and secret notes, as though time had paused for them long ago. Every street he walked, every restaurant he passed, seemed to whisper fragments of the past, reminding him of the girl he had loved and lost. The city had changed. Skyscrapers stretched higher than ever, streets buzzed with life, and people moved faster than they once had. Yet in the midst of this chaos, fate arranged an encounter neither could have predicted. Outside a small, warmly lit restaurant, two sets of eyes met across the crowd. Recognition was instant. Years melted away in a heartbeat. Their hearts raced with a mixture of shock, joy, and an ache born of 20 years of separation. The air seemed to shimmer around them, heavy with memories too vivid to ignore. They approached each other cautiously, unsure if the moment was real. The girl's eyes, bright yet lined with years of experience, met his haunted gaze.
Word faltered, yet the silence spoke volume.
They smiled, awkwardly at first, then more freely, and finally, as if decades had never passed, they began to speak. Each word carried the weight of years, the longing of 20 lost seasons, the echoes of all the small notes, the games, the laughter, and the tears that had once defined their love. As they talked, memories came flooding back: childhood laughter in the schoolyard, secret notes slipped into desks, stolen afternoons in the garden, first touches and first dreams of a life together. Each story they recounted felt like a bridge across the years, reconnecting two souls that had never truly parted. Laughter returned, mingled with tears, and they both realized that despite the passage of time, the essence of their love had endured, untouched by life's trials. Outside the restaurant, the evening air carried a gentle breeze, whispering the scent of old times and new possibilities. Their hands brushed, fingers entwined naturally as if guided by some invisible force. Conversations turned from memories to the present, the challenges they had faced, and the pain of lost years. Yet beneath it all was the undeniable truth: they had found each other again. Their hearts recognized the same rhythm, the same longing, the same unbreakable bond that had begun in the innocence of childhood. And so, the seeds of love that had lain dormant for 2 decades began to bloom once more. In that brief, unexpected meeting, they discovered that true love can survive distance, time, and misfortune. It waits patiently, quietly, until the moment is right to return. As the night grew darker and the city lights reflected in their eyes, they felt something they had thought lost forever: hope, passion, and the thrilling certainty that love, once found, can be reclaimed. Sitting across from each other in the quiet corner of the restaurant, the world seemed to fade away. The clatter of plates, chatter of other diners, and the city's hum were all distant echoes compared to the intense presence of each other. They spoke slowly at first, hesitant to breach the delicate thread that had reconnected them. The girl recounted her life: marriage, years of compromise, moments of fleeting happiness, and the unspoken loneliness that had lingered despite everything. Her voice trembled occasionally, but her eyes held a flicker of the same warmth he remembered from their childhood. The man listened, each word stirring memories of long-forgotten laughter, secret notes, and stolen afternoons in the garden. He realized how deeply the years had shaped them both, yet how little had changed in the core of their hearts. He shared his own journey, wandering from place to place, living without a home, and surviving on memories of her smile and their hidden games. The pain, the longing, the isolation, all had left him broken yet strangely resilient, bound to a love that had refused to fade. As they spoke, the restaurant seemed to shrink around them, enclosing them in a cocoon of shared memories. Every anecdote, every hesitation, every lingering glance seemed to weave their lives together once more. They laughed at their childish mischief, wept over the years of separation, and quietly marveled at the strange paths life had led them down. Each revelation, each story, was a step closer, each silence a testament to the depth of what they had always shared. Outside, the night had grown deep, and city lights painted golden reflections on wet pavements. The girl spoke of her family, her obligations, and the heavy weight of expectations that had steered her away from him. The man, in turn, revealed the freedom and desolation of a life without ties, yet how empty it had always felt without her. Despite the pain, despite the years of separation, there was an unmistakable pull between them, as if every heartache and every lonely night had led them to this exact moment. They rose from their seats, stepping into the cool night, letting the breeze mingle with their thoughts. Their hands brushed, and finally, hesitantly, he took hers. The contact was electric, a bridge across decades, an affirmation that the love they had nurtured in secrecy was still alive. They walked together, speaking less and feeling more, letting memories guide their steps and hearts. In every street corner, every shadow, every familiar scent, they found fragments of their shared past that gave meaning to the present. By the end of the night, both knew that this meeting was not merely coincidence, it was destiny. The love that had been paused, suppressed, and delayed had returned, stronger and more patient than ever. Each had grown older, wiser, scarred, yet in the quiet of the night, their souls whispered the same truth: some loves, no matter how long lost, are never truly gone. They only wait to be rediscovered. The following days after their reunion were filled with a whirlwind of emotions, both exhilarating and terrifying. They met secretly at cafes, quiet parks, and small streets that reminded them of their childhood. Every conversation was layered with laughter, nostalgia, and the unspoken ache of years lost. They spoke of everything: the dreams they once shared, the hopes that had been buried under family obligations, and the regrets that haunted them. Every word was heavy with longing, yet lightened by the realization that they had found each other again.
Yet reality loomed over them, casting long shadow.
She had obligations, a life she could not abandon instantly, a past she had tried to reconcile with herself. He too was no longer the carefree boy of the small town. Years of wandering had hardened him, but not enough to erase the tenderness in his heart. The push and pull between desire and duty created an almost unbearable tension. Every embrace, every touch, was charged with the knowledge that the world might not allow them to stay together easily. In the evenings, they walked along the streets where they had once played as children, tracing the paths of their innocent laughter. The memories of tiny secret games, stolen touches, and the thrill of first love blended seamlessly with the harsh reality of adulthood. Conversations turned deeper, about lost opportunities, choices they regretted, and the compromises life had forced upon them. Each story of their separate lives carried weight, yet instead of dividing them, it drew them closer, reinforcing the bond that had survived decades of separation. Sometimes, the man would stop suddenly, looking into her eyes with a mixture of pleading and hope. "I have loved you all these years," he said quietly, voice trembling. "Not a day has passed without your memory guiding me." She would pause, fingers tightening around his hand, heart aching as memories flooded back. Childhood games, secret notes, the shy glances they had exchanged, the warmth of first love still alive in her chest. It was a pain and a joy entwined, a reminder that love could endure even the cruelest passage of time. They also spoke of forgiveness and the courage it took to start over. She admitted the years of compromise, the moments when she felt trapped, and the silent wish that life could have been different. He admitted his failures, the bitterness of living without her, and the loneliness that had shaped his every decision. In each confession, they found understanding, acceptance, and a renewed sense of commitment to each other. The world outside might not approve, but within their hearts, they had reclaimed what was theirs. As nights grew longer and city lights shimmered on wet pavements, they allowed themselves to imagine a future together. Every street corner, every familiar scent, every small gesture of connection felt like a thread weaving their lives into one tapestry once more. They held on to each other, not just for the comfort of the moment, but with the knowledge that love, tested by years and distance, had finally returned to them stronger than ever. In the quiet of the night, the city seemed to hold its breath, witnessing the resurrection of a love thought lost forever. The days following their renewed connection were filled with both exhilaration and anxiety. Every meeting carried a weight, every touch a reminder of the years lost. They spoke endlessly about possibilities, plans, and the hurdles that had kept them apart for so long. She described her responsibilities, the life she had built, and the tangled relationships that would complicate any attempt to start anew. He listened carefully, understanding that love alone could not erase the consequences of choices made years ago. Yet, in each conversation, they discovered solutions, compromises, and a shared desire to create a path forward together. They revisited familiar streets from their childhood, laughing at old mischiefs while silently mourning the time lost. Each alleyway, garden, and bench was a portal into memories that had never faded. They shared letters they had written but never sent, photographs from old days, and stories that had been whispered only to themselves. The past was no longer merely a memory, it was a living, breathing presence guiding their present. In these moments, they realized that what had once seemed impossible could now be achieved with patience, courage, and mutual trust. Doubts still lingered. She feared judgment from family and society, while he feared that the years of wandering and heartbreak had left him unworthy. They argued occasionally, their emotions raw and unfiltered, but always returned to the truth that had brought them together. Their love had endured, unwavering and patient, through decades of trials. Every disagreement, every tear, every lingering silence became another layer strengthening the foundation of what they were rebuilding. Slowly, they began to envision a shared life. Not the naive dreams of childhood, but a realistic, tender, and enduring partnership. They discussed living arrangements, careers, friendships, and boundaries, recognizing that love needed a practical framework to thrive. The intimacy between them grew beyond stolen glances and secret notes. It became a deep understanding, a partnership of minds and hearts forged by time, loss, and rediscovery. One evening, sitting on a quiet park bench where they had first played hide and seek as children, he took her hand firmly in his. "I cannot promise it will be easy," he said, voice steady but filled with emotion, "but I can promise that I will never leave you again. 20 years have taught me that some loves are worth every struggle." Tears welled in her eyes, but a smile spread across her face, a smile that spoke of relief, hope, and the rekindling of a bond that had never truly broken. By the end of the night, both felt a quiet certainty. The obstacles of the past were immense, but they had confronted them together. The love that had survived childhood games, secret letters, years of separation, and the cruel twists of fate had finally found its way back. They walked home hand in hand, knowing that the next chapter of their lives would be written not in memories, but in shared moments, conscious choices, and a love that had been tested by time and emerged stronger than ever. The morning sun spilled golden light over the city as they stepped out together, hand in hand, feeling a sense of freedom they had never experienced before. The world seemed simultaneously familiar and new, as if the city itself had been waiting for their love to return. Each street they passed reminded them of moments from their childhood, each corner carrying echoes of laughter, whispered secrets, and first touches. Yet now, those memories were no longer tinged with sorrow. They were the foundation upon which they could build a shared future. They visited places they had once loved as children, reliving games of hide and seek, laughing at the mischiefs they had created, and marveling at how little had truly changed. The garden where they had spent endless afternoons, the school benches where first notes were exchanged, all now felt sacred. It was as though every step they had taken separately for 20 years had been leading to this reunion, and each moment of their renewed connection strengthened the bond that had endured decades. Conversations flowed effortlessly, moving from the past to the present and finally to their shared vision of the future. They spoke of travel, work, dreams deferred, and ambitions yet unfulfilled. There was a sense of urgency, yes, but also patience. They knew that time had taught them the value of understanding, compromise, and steadfast devotion. Every glance, every touch, and every word carried the weight of years, yet was light with hope, like the first morning sun after a long cold night. They began to plan a life together with intention and care. Decisions that once seemed impossible were now manageable with mutual respect and love. They navigated conversations about family, social expectations, and personal boundaries with patience, realizing that the bond between them could overcome obstacles only if nurtured consciously. The love that had once been secret and fragile now became resilient and enduring, a love that had grown stronger because it had been tested by time and absence. Evenings were spent revisiting old streets, holding hands under the soft glow of streetlights, sharing stories that had never been told before, and laughing at the small details that had once seemed so trivial. Each shared moment was a promise, a reminder that their connection was no longer fleeting or tentative. It was real, tangible, and theirs to cultivate together. The weight of lost years was balanced by the richness of rediscovered love, and both felt an extraordinary sense of peace that only comes from finally finding a home in someone's heart. By the end of this chapter of their lives, they knew that their story was not just a rekindling of old flames but a true renewal, a life built on shared memories, deep understanding, and an unbreakable bond. The boy who had once wandered the streets lost and broken, and the girl who had once lived a life of obligation and compromise, now walked together toward a future they had dreamed of since childhood. Their love, tested and true, had finally come home. As the days turned into weeks, their love settled into a rhythm both familiar and new. Every morning brought shared laughter over breakfast, every evening a quiet stroll under the city lights. The streets that had once witnessed their childhood games now witnessed a mature love, tender yet vibrant, a love tempered by years of longing and strengthened by reunion. They spoke often of their journey, how life had separated them, how fate had brought them back, and how every hardship had ultimately led them to this profound, unshakable connection. They revisited every memory, not with sadness but with gratitude. The secret notes, the stolen glances, the playful mischief, all became treasures that had guided them back to each other. Their conversations delved into every detail of their lives apart, sharing stories of challenges, triumphs, and the resilience that had kept them alive. Each revelation deepened their bond, making every hug, every touch, every smile a celebration of enduring love. They no longer needed to hide, for the world could see the radiance of their reunion and the depth of their commitment. In quiet moments, they would sit side by side, holding hands and watching the city bustle around them, yet feeling completely detached from the world outside. Their hearts spoke a language that words could not capture, a language built from decades of longing, hope, and finally fulfillment. Each glance was a reassurance, each touch a promise, each laugh a renewal of vows that time and circumstance had never diminished. They realized that love, once truly found, could survive all separations and still emerge stronger, more resilient, and unbreakably beautiful. They also embraced the challenges that came with merging their lives. Family obligations, societal expectations, and personal ambitions required compromise and understanding. Yet they approached each hurdle with patience, empathy, and unwavering faith in each other. Where once they had stolen moments in secret, now they built a life openly together, proud of the love that had endured. Their story became one of hope, demonstrating that true love, though delayed, can always find its way home. One evening, under a canopy of city lights and the gentle hum of distant traffic, he turned to her, eyes glistening with emotion. "I have waited 20 years for this," he whispered. "And now that we are together, I promise to never let you go again." She smiled, tears streaming down her face, and held him close. "I never stopped loving you," she said softly. "All those years apart only made me realize how essential you are to my life." In that embrace, decades of longing, pain, and separation melted away, leaving only love, pure and unending. Their love, once paused by circumstance, now thrived with a depth and richness that only time could bring. The streets of their childhood, the city of their reunion, and every small place in between became sacred witnesses to a bond that had endured every trial. They walked through life together, hand in hand, knowing that the love which had survived 2 decades apart was a love eternal. And in that knowledge they found not just joy, but a profound peace, a certainty that true love, once found, could never truly be lost.